Richard, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Do you get vor? Like, I'm not asking are you into it, but do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because I've been looking at... I'm not into vor. For those who don't know, vor is a fetish for being eaten, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm not into it, but I'm a fan of a lot of shit posting meme pages, and they like repost vor fan art and like that fetish where like you get shrunken down and you can fit on someone's foot. Like I saw like a running Sonic with a real detailed blue foot and someone like nestled on it. And like I don't share this fetish, but I don't know, I understand why someone would be into it, I guess.
AJ, does this have anything to do with The Land Before Time?
What's that?
More like, what's this podcast?
Okay. This is the Vorcast. This is the fetish cast, where AJ and Richard, two world famous podcasters from New Zealand, we talk about fetishes that we're not into but understand and respect. Is that right?
Yeah. What did we speak about last week?
We talked about nugget porn,
Okay.
which is amputee.
And what are we going to be talking about next week?
Next week we're going to be talking about like shoes, not feet but shoes.
Okay. What would you say has been your favourite episode?
Oh, they've all been terrible, man. They've all made me uncomfortable.
What made you the most uncomfortable then?
Probably the pedophilia one. I don't think we should have justified that by counting it as a fetish. It's more a perversion, but
right.
You know.
Well,
the pedophile community did really like us for that one, though.
Do you think it's
we got a lot of nice emails?
So you think it's a perversion?
Pedophilia is, sure. Do you not think pedophilia is a perversion?
Well, do you think homosexuality is a perversion?
Of course not. It's not even a fetish. Why would you bring up homosexuality on Fetish Cast? It's an orientation. We'll save that for Orientation Tuesdays.
I get it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, that's what it says on the iTunes logo when you subscribe to this. It says Fetish Cast with AJ and Richard. We get it. Just kidding. This isn't that podcast. What is this podcast?
This is a podcast called Film Franchise Fortnights on the Cult Popture podcast. Oh, actually, I've got a little audio clip to play at some point. I forgot to... get up.
It feels like this needed to be prepped in advance.
Yeah, I completely forgot about it. Anyway, this is the Cult Popture podcast on the Film No,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Anyway, myself, Richard Martin, and Alexander Jones, my co-host.
Hello.
Watch and discuss a different film franchise every fortnight. Which is 2 weeks. Or 14 nights.
And this fortnight in particular, it feels like it's been 1,000 years since we talked about Monsters, Inc.
Hell yeah.
We've been up and down. We've had highs. We've had lows. We did really well in our short film competition. Individually, we did really well. And then we both got like horribly ill soon after.
We're recording this kind of late for I mean, it's not going to affect you guys listening to it, but... I know I still kind of sound a little bit weird, AJ. You've always sounded fine, and I actually think you've been faking the whole sickness. Anyway, speaking of, I don't know, speaking of nothing,
faking sicknesses.
But here's a little new thing we're going to incorporate into every episode, which I could probably edit into the podcast rather than just playing it off my phone. But here you go. Oh shit!
Please give a shout out to Cult Popture. There you go.
Alright, that was leader of the ACT Party, David Seymour, giving us a shout out. A lot of people doubt that I've been Snapchatting him, but I have been. Although that I didn't get him to give me a shout out through Snapchat. There was a live stream he did. If you don't know who David Seymour or the ACT Party is, New Zealand just had our election. Yeah. To elect a new leader of the government. Still waiting on results.
I went from not being interested in the election to grossly interested in it because now it feels like an episode of Game of Thrones because there's one dude who's got all the control and can decide who gets in.
Yeah. I mean, how much do we need to explain it or want to explain it?
Sorry, my phone.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think mine will still be on there.
Well, look, I mean, I truly don't know our demographic in terms of like who's from where.
So basically, there's two.
Brent from Texas. We just had our election.
Politics don't work like America. We have a system called MMP, and the percentage you get in the election corresponds with seats in Parliament. And getting the most doesn't mean you win. You need to have 61 seats. And if neither of the two main parties get 61, they have to form a coalition with one of the other parties that got in and got less seats. And so neither of the two main parties got enough. There's this one guy who runs a party called,
old drunk man
called Winston Peters, who runs the welcome to cult politics. Who runs a party called New Zealand First, and basically the whole country is waiting on him to decide who he wants to form a coalition with. He said he's not going to say anything until October 7th. He's just announced that today.
He's coy.
He said, stop asking me stupid questions. He went full Trump, basically, in his interview, going, that's a stupid question. Why would I answer that? Can we just get some answers? Yeah, well, I will answer your questions when you start asking me questions that are worth answering. So that's New Zealand's political climate at the moment.
It's hot, it's fresh, it's spicy.
Yeah,
and we're not going to talk about it. We're going to be talking about a different climate.
Yeah, so, okay, and David Seymour.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll just say that again at the end of this.
Sorry, yeah, because I've still haven't explained who David Seymour is. So there's a very small party called ACT. Now I have to explain electorates.
No, you don't.
Okay, so
I understand, and I don't know what an electorate is. I do. But.
Yeah, well, okay, basically, you can get into Parliament by being on one of the leading parties that gets us over 5% of the votes, or if you win an electorate, which means you're like a neighbourhood's member of Parliament. And for some reason, there's this party called ACT that has one electorate, and so this one guy, David Seymour, gets into Parliament, and he gave us a shout out, and that's why I explained New Zealand politics to you.
I also asked David Seymour a question on his live stream. I said, hey David, who's your favourite Land Before Time character? And he said, I haven't seen them, I'm ashamed to say. And then his who is it?
She's the third listed member of the party.
Okay, so she was with him and she went, oh yeah, I'm one of like the only people who haven't seen those movies. And I was like, no you're not. What are you talking? Then they told us off for because we kept asking questions about movies.
And she was like, look, I'm not a cinematographer, I don't know movies.
It was so funny. And you guys can watch it. Just go to ACT on Facebook.
Oh, it's David Seymour's Facebook page.
Oh, was it? Okay, go there and just watch this live stream. It was at like 40 or so minutes and you can see our comments. Just listen to them answer.
Oh, it's insane.
Everyone is like, what do you think about like the homeless problem in Auckland?
And we were like, what went wrong with the Pirates of the Caribbean scene?
I love asking political questions about movies. Anyway,
that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about The Land Before Time, a series of 14 animated films about little dinosaurs. 13 of them went straight to video. I can already feel that my words aren't being as clear as they normally are, so I'm going to make more of an effort, but you guys have to make more of an effort to listen to me.
This is your fault.
Normally we'd like list the films and then go through what they're about and all this kind of shit. What we're going to do is I'm going to say the film, who it was directed by, all that kind of stuff. AJ's going to give a synopsis, and then we're just going to talk about that film. Specifically, I'll give any trivia relating to that film, and then also, because there aren't really Rotten Tomatoes scores for these, one guy ranked them all.
And so I bet we're next to him as like people over 10 who have seen all of these movies.
And, well, parents.
Yeah, but no, okay. Who've done like content about
right? Yeah.
all movies. He only did 13 though.
Yeah. So at the time of his post, there was only 13 movies. So we'll and then I'll say where he placed on the list, and we can say
what's his name. Do you have his name?
No, it was for New York Post.
Okay. So shout out to you, New York Post, man.
New York.
There's
Postman.
only one guy.
One guy delivering all the post in New York. All right. So the first film, have I forgotten anything? I feel like there's been a really comprehensive intro, but it was mostly about New Zealand politics.
That's true. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I guess just to give an overview, like a more detailed overview of the series, it's very much it's non-Disney animated, and back in the late 80s when these started. And like things that weren't animated by Disney were at both times special and terrifying because they didn't have the same level of polish, but there was also some kind of like charm about it because it was like almost an indie. But it's still Spielberg and George Lucas who helped make
spoilers for the
first one. But yeah, these are movies that it baffles me that they made this many and this recently that they've been releasing.
Yeah, and also I don't want to spoil. I was going to say ours, but specifically my headspace relating to these movies, but it'll become very apparent as the podcast transpires. So, the first film was simply called The Land Before Time. It came out in 1988. It was directed by Don Bluth and executive produced by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. AJ, what's this film about? Oh, so for today, AJ's drinking Sprite, and I'm sticking to water.
Classic Don Bluth. If you've seen An American Tail, it's very similar in atmosphere. The Land Before Time is about a young Apatosaurus, or long neck, as they're called colloquially.
Apatosaurus.
What? Apatosaurus? What did I say?
Apatosaurus.
Apatosaurus. And his name is Littlefoot. And he is separated from his herd after an earthquake. His dying mother tells him that he must find his way to the Great Valley, which is the last known refuge for herbivore dinosaurs. Along the way, he meets a Triceratops, or a three-horn, named Sarah, a Saurolophus, or a swimmer, named Ducky, a Pteranodon, or a flyer, named Petrie, and a Stegosaurus, or spike-tail, named Spike.
Yeah.
And they're all little baby dinosaurs.
Yeah. And so this is where it all began. This single film spawned, according to IMDb, an astounding 13 sequels, as well as 14 games, 2 sing-along videos, and a TV series. Yeah. Now, I would argue with the use of the word astounding. I don't think you could use that to refer to any of these films. A little bit of trivia. The original idea by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. The film originally had no dialogue.
Wow.
But then George Lucas was like, "Oi, now let's give them voices."
That's real interesting because, like, The Good Dinosaur, Pixar's The Good Dinosaur, I reckon that movie was also originally envisioned with no dialogue because so much of it is visual. Like, there's the whole metaphor about putting the putting your mark on the silo, and it's all done with imagery. And I like the idea of these having no dialogue. So was this George Lucas's only sin? Is this the only decision he did wrong?
By 1988,
yeah.
Also, we talk about titles a lot on this podcast. The original title for this was The Land Before Time Began.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Because I know you hate the title with a passion.
The Land Before Time?
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
That's not what you told me.
No, I said something else. I can't remember what it was.
You just said it was dumb.
The Land Before Time's okay. It's dumb because it's not before time.
Yeah.
They talk about time all the time in it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like that's pretty low-hanging fruit for joking about the titles for these movies. I've got more to say on the titles later on.
Okay, cool. Next piece of trivia.
Yep.
I'm just getting it all out of the way now because spoiler alert, there's not a lot of trivia for the straight-to-DVD sequels. Don Bluth said he doesn't dislike the film, but he credits it for starting him making a bunch of shit films. I looked at his filmography post 1988, and he made such shit films as All Dogs Go to Heaven, Anastasia, and Titan AE.
Those, I mean, they're not. I wouldn't say they're shit, but
neither would I.
They're definitely. I didn't know they were all Don Bluth, but they definitely
Anastasia's
make sense.
great.
Anastasia's good. Titan AE is great.
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
I'd actually, for the record, I mentioned American Tail before. Not very good.
Came out just before this.
Not a very good movie. But it exists. And that's something I wanted to let everyone know that I knew.
Also, I guess... I don't know. When do we say this? The most interesting piece of trivia about the first Land Before Time film.
Okay. Yep, what is it?
So, you mentioned Ducky.
Yep.
Ducky's a little Saurolophus. I need to look at it written down. Parasaurolophus.
I don't have a para in front of the one I wrote.
Well, then you didn't do the right research, AJ. So she was portrayed by a young actress called Judith Barcy, who was 10 years old. She was
She was.
yeah.
Huh?
She was a voice actress, very young of age.
Just say the
talented.
facts, man.
And okay, so she started to become quite successful, and her father Joseph became quite angry and jealous, and would routinely threaten to kill himself, his wife, and Judith. His alcoholism worsened, causing the police to arrest him 3 separate times for drunk driving. And after an incident with the police, Joseph reportedly stopped drinking, but again he continued to threaten Maria and Judith. Judith began putting on weight, and then one day she was doing a singing audition for All Dogs Go to Heaven, and she broke down, and she was taken to a child psychologist who identified severe physical and emotional abuse, and reported her to Child Protective Services. The investigation was dropped soon after. Maria assured the caseworker she intended to begin divorce proceedings against Joseph, and that she and Judith were going to move. Judith was last seen riding her bike on the morning of July 25th, 1988. That evening, Joseph shot her in the head while she was sleeping, and then murdered Maria. He then spent the next 2 days wandering around the house, and said during a phone conversation with Judith's agent the next night that he intended to move out for good. He just needed time to say goodbye to my little girl. He then poured gasoline on the bodies and set them on fire. After incinerating the bodies, he went to the garage and shot himself in the head with a .32 caliber pistol.
The Great Valley Adventure.
It's funny because normally I'm the one who doesn't take things like that seriously.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you...
well, one of us has got to...
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, I take it seriously.
No, I don't think you care, dude. She was actually murdered 4 months before the movie came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No, like if you discovered us because of the Beethoven podcast, you might remember the story I told about who I pronounced as Joey Pilcher, whose name's actually Joey Pickler. Well, not a very, another true crime story, not quite as bloodthirsty or gory as that one, but
because AJ calls himself a true crime buff.
What do you mean? Why do you say I call myself one?
You do.
Yeah, but what you say that like I'm not one. Like, what do I have to do to be?
That's up to the listeners.
Okay, I feel like it's up to me if I want to be a buff on something or not. A buff doesn't mean you know.
Nah, I feel like buff's one of those things that like. If someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm a real film buff," I'm like, "Oh, whatever." I bet you love Tarantino. That's a callback.
But what I was going to say is I think in the effort to be a little bit more sensitive about what is probably a worse story, we probably won't dwell on. Instead, we're going to talk about happy dinosaurs frolicking through valleys.
It's one of those things you can't talk about Land Before Time without talking about, which is a shame.
Because it is the most interesting thing about the franchise.
Yeah. But there's not a whole lot else to say about it.
We haven't developed a sequel based around the story this time, unlike I did with Joey Pickler.
Okay, so what did you think of the first one?
The first one, I get it. It's not my thing. I found it very boring. I feel like if I was a little kid and someone put that on, I'd be very bored watching it. But it's an achievement. It's really lovely animation. It's nice to look at, and there's some really nice storytelling in it. Oh. I just didn't like it.
Yeah. So it got 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and audience score 78. That's the end of the Rotten Tomatoes scores for the evening.
Okay.
I mentioned before that a guy ranked them. He ranked this as number one, and he said about it, "Oh, come on, you knew this was coming. Nothing ever tops the original, and the same goes here. While the sequels have their merits, they can't quite touch the level of craft on the first and the feeling of meeting our dinosaur friends for the first time." So this list is coming from a guy who clearly really likes these films. I haven't said what I think of it yet. The first one is the best one. Okay, that's debatable, but I hated it.
Yeah.
this was like...
But you know what?
This isn't even, like... I can judge films on merits and, like, based on target audiences. This is just a bad film.
It's pretty boring.
It's so bad.
None of the characters are particularly endearing in any way. Littlefoot looks like a grandpa's penis. Like he's like this grey. Like you know what he looks like. Probably.
You guys know what your granddad's penis looks like.
Like you know what I mean? Like Littlefoot's ugly. Littlefoot's ugly.
So ugly, dude.
And then the second main character,
granddad's penis.
and then the second main character is this little bitchy side.
Oh my god! Okay. Let's not get started on series.
When are we going to talk about characters? Should we go through all of them and then talk about characters?
Yeah, I've got some stuff to say
Okay,
about
because I've got something to say about all the characters.
Okay, good. So...
That's not true. Every character in the whole franchise.
Alright, so the second film was Land Before Time 2, The Great Valley Adventure. That came out in 1994 and was directed by Roy Allen Smith. Bit of trivia about this one. Spoiler alert, this is my last piece of trivia. And this is just I mainly copied this from IMDb because it's dumb. Candace Houston was the only actor from the original film to reprise her role as Sarah. No other actors reprised their role as Sarah. There's no comma in there.
Yep. No, fair enough.
I
you got them, dude. You got them.
Yeah. Fuck IMDb.
All right, so after settling into the Great Valley, which is where they were trying to get to in the first movie, the gang find themselves chasing a pair of egg thieving outsiders into the mysterious beyond, which is what they call anywhere that isn't the Great Valley. They end up accidentally bringing back a T-Rex egg, and it hatches, and they name him Chomper, and they have to figure out how to get him back to his T-Rex parents without themselves getting eaten.
All right, and this sequel adds an element to the franchise that sticks from there on out. And that's that from now on. They're musicals.
Yay! And, musicals are fun. Oh,
you know what? The songs don't need to make sense or, like, follow the logic of the films or rhyme or have any kind of, like, semblance of a beat or have, like, syllables.
We need to work on our comedy chemistry, dude, because I was still going to build it up. I was still going to be like, yeah, there's songs, maybe that's what the first one was missing, like a couple catchy songs. And we'd be like, yeah. And then you'd go like, yeah, and they don't need to have, but you jumped in too soon.
So it's my fault, is what you're saying.
Well, is it my fault?
Yeah.
Are you victim blaming? Is that what you're doing here?
You're not the victim, dude.
I'm the victim.
Yeah, so...
Let's give a sample. Okay, so in The Land Before Time 2, The Great Valley Adventure, when Chomper is hatched, they all gather around him and they start singing a song that goes, what is it? We're a family and you're one of us now.
Though you look like we think you're like us too, because you're a family and you're one of us now.
And it's like aside from a few outliers, which we will talk about in the series, all the songs feel like the in-between parts of Les Mis when they're not, like, they're in between, like, what's a song? What two songs from Les Mis?
Master of the House and Castle on a Cloud.
Yeah, and so...
Those two are actually next to each other in Les Mis as well.
So it's like in between those two songs where the characters are still conversing but they're singing still, but it's not not like they're tethered to a tune, so they'll be like, what are you doing? And it's like,
you were a family and you're one of us now.
Family, and though you look like you, we think you'll like us too. And the rhymes are very simple and very No. Saying the rhymes are simple is giving credit to these films because it's like, yeah, kids can remember it. The rhymes are lazy.
The rhymes are dumb. The rhymes are dumb and the songs are bad.
Yeah,
apart from one or two. So
I would say there are two standouts and then a couple that I'll listen to people be like, this one's good.
All right, I'm really interested to know what your two are. So Land Before Time 2 was ranked number 5 by New York Post guy, saying the first sequel is also one of the best. I mean, it's the 5th. Introducing us to a baby T-Rex named Chomper, who has the pleasant capability of being bilingual. Speaking both T-Rex and herbivore. The film also does the best job of maintaining some of the darker tone of the original movie while broadening its humour for younger audiences. But it's also responsible for introducing the musical format, so boo.
I would rank The Great Valley Adventure in the bottom 5. I reckon. So just to I wasn't planning to reveal this at any point, so I'll just say it now. In my opinion, there's a very clear parabola to the how good each movie is, and you start with like a base level with the first one, and then you drop dramatically to 2. Then 3 and 4 are like real bad as well. 5 slightly better. Then 6 is like my favorite one, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 are all right. They're like I can watch. I you know what? If I have kids one day, I'll watch 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with them. Like, they were fine. And then good lord, it drops at 11 and then keeps going down till 13 and maybe gets slightly more up with 14.
Okay, that's my It's one of these things, like, I don't know when to say it because we haven't talked about it in the yet, but it's interesting you say that 11 goes down and then it keeps going down. 11, 12, 13. I agree that 11 and 13 are like the
diabolically
they
are so bad.
Offensively bad. 12's probably my favourite one.
What one's 12? Remind me.
With Guido.
You're like, oh yeah, that one's alright. That one just felt less like a movie and more like an episode of a TV show.
Yeah.
Which is a big problem with them as they go along, is that the stakes of the movies get lower and lower, and like it stops being epic and starts just being about, bloody Spike's eating too much. Yeah. Stop eating my food, Spike.
Alright. Okay, we need to move on.
Alright.
Number 3, The Land Before Time 3, The Time of the Great Giving, 1995, Roy Allen Smith. No trivia.
Water has dried up in the Great Valley, and so Littlefoot and his friends once again travel to the mysterious beyond to find water. They discover the water blockage was caused by a rock slide. There's also a big fire in the Great Valley. Once the dinosaurs free the blockage, they discover the need for migration, and as a community begin traveling from spot to spot while they wait for the unblocked water to revitalize the Great Valley's ecosystem.
Is this the one with Big Water, the song?
No. That's 5.
What's number 5 called?
The Mysterious Island.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so this one was ranked number 2.
Interesting. I don't like this guy.
The Raptors and the... Oh, you just fucking wait. The Raptors in the sequel are so genuinely terrifying that any kid from the 90s Raptors will tell you they still have the occasional nightmare about them. The T-Rex who? Yeah, I don't like this guy. Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna come clean. Mm-hmm. I pride myself on having like a real good memory, and in fact, today I brought up something like from like 4 years ago that pissed me off that AJ said to me. But I barely remember what the first like 5 films are about.
When I was writing these synopses today, I got to the Time of the Great Giving, episode 3, and I was like, what the hell is this one about? And I looked on the Wikipedia page, and every one of them you could be like, oh, it's the T-Rex one. Oh, it's the mysterious, it's the island one. Right. This one, I was reading the synopsis, I was like, yeah, but what is it about? What's the thing? What's the thing that this one is about? Yeah. And it's not about anything.
Also, because from like the 6th one onwards, they have like one celebrity guest star. Yeah, not much to say about the third one, to be honest. So we'll just crack right on through to The Land Before Time 4, Journey Through the Mists, 1996, Roy Allen Smith.
Inexplicably starting with everyone back in the Great Valley again, despite having migrated in the last film, Littlefoot is shocked to learn about migration for the first time ever, when a group of long-necked dinosaur cousins migrate into the valley, and warn the other dinosaurs of an impending mist which ruined their original home. Littlefoot's grandfather also falls ill, and the gang learn that the only way to save him is to retrieve some golden flowers from the land of mists located in the mysterious beyond.
Right.
The first four or 5 movies in this series, I think, take the record. They get they get a place on the film franchise Fortnights Wall of Fame for having the worst continuity. At least these first 5, because like X-Men at least tried to acknowledge it in some kind of way. Like X-Men continuity is terrible, but it was still like they made ones about time travel. So
that's the point, yeah.
Yeah. This one, spoilers, they learn what migration is in like 5 of these movies, and it's like, what's that? And it's like you literally ended they end Time of the Great Giving not in the Great Valley. They leave it, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna We're going to migrate. This is the, and I was like, okay, cool. So it's like the first one's like they go to their safe place. Then the second one's like they learn they actually need to leave it, or they stay in there for the second place. Then the third one, they learn that they need to leave it, and then maybe like the next 10 will be them journeying throughout the world. No, they're back there. They learn what migration is for the first time. What's this one even about? There's mists. This is the one I'd seen when I was a kid. I didn't know which one I'd seen, but I knew I'd seen one of them. I remember the golden flowers that they have to get to
This
heal.
isn't the Friends for Dinner, is it?
No, that's the Mysterious Island.
Right. Okay, so this one, the guy ranked it 7th.
Okay.
He said, finally, the series adds a little more girl power in the form of Ali,
Oh, finally.
who looks just like Littlefoot. But then it quickly takes her out of the picture by the film's end, and she doesn't show up again in another movie.
Yeah.
Although she was in the TV spin-off series, albeit in a different colour.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
That's all he said about it.
All
Or
right.
she. There could be a woman.
Yeah, we don't know.
Could be an 8-year-old.
Could be a dog.
It could be. I don't know.
All right, what's the next one?
Next one is Land Before Time 5, The Mysterious Island,
I've got the
1997.
longest synopsis. For this
Directed by Charles Grosvenor. Now, remember that name. Charles Grosvenor, okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, after pests eat all the food in the Great Valley, the community of dinosaurs decide they need to migrate for the first time, which is a concept which Littlefoot and his friends have never heard of before. However, a rift is caused between the adult dinosaurs' unrelenting xenophobia and racial biases, which lead Littlefoot and his friends to run away in an attempt to find more resources and hopefully unite their racist parents. They end up getting lost at sea. Okay, and find themselves on a mysterious island where they once again run into Chomper, who is now old enough to speak English, even though his parents still speak in roars and grunts. And when they first hatched Chomper, he couldn't speak English, so he didn't learn English from them because he left them before he had developed like the being able to comprehend speech. Anyway, Rose and Grunts. They earn Chomper's parents' trust and respect after saving his life from another dinosaur, and then some random Elasmosaurus named Elsie turns up and takes the kids back to the lush, fertile part of the mainland.
That's right.
Where they can live with their parents in harmony again until the Great Valley sorts its shit out. Elsie, who turned up out of nowhere, is never seen in the series again. Not even in the TV show. I checked.
That's so funny. Yeah.
She saves the day from nowhere and never is in it
Yeah.
again.
There's this giant, like, Loch Ness monster type thing. Comes out of the water and they're like, how do we get back? She's like, oh, hop on my head.
Yeah.
And then swims back and then, yeah, we never see her again. That's interesting because every minor character, apart from Elsie, obviously, appears in the TV show at some point.
Yeah. Chomper's a main character in the TV series, and he's only in 2 of the movies.
Yeah.
All right, what did New York Poster say about
All right. This one came third.
Yeah.
That island sure was mysterious, and it taught us the important lesson of not judging a dinosaur by the size of its teeth. As it turned out, one of the T-Rexes wasn't so bad after all.
This is one of the best songs, one of the 2 good songs, which is called Friends for Dinner.
Yeah, I liked Big Water, I'm going to be honest.
Big Water's
Big
cool.
Water was my first, like, oh, this is...
How does that
this is
one go,
actually a
Richard?
song.
The big water refers to the ocean.
Big water.
It's terribly big,
Da-da-da-da.
big water.
Don't
It's
know what
scary
da-da-da-da.
and it's dangerous. It's spooky and it's strangerous. Big
Da-da-da-da-da. In that big water.
water. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
that was my first sort of like, oh yeah, this is actually a song.
but
Like,
you watched it
this
on 1.5 speed. So
and they're so much better. Oh my! Like the songs are like, if you want to go out and listen to any of the songs from The Land Before Time, watch them at 1.5 speed. This isn't like this is a genuine life hack.
Yeah.
The songs are terrible.
it's the best life hack.
The
there's
real
also-
life pro tip is always in the podcast.
There's also a song in this one that goes "Friends for dinner," and that's when Chomper is preparing food for his friends who have come to the mysterious island. But it cuts between Chomper singing it and Littlefoot and his friends singing it. And when Littlefoot's singing
So it starts off with Chomper saying,
Yeah.
oh, he's like, oh, I'll go get ready. I love having friends for dinner.
yeah, and so Chomper's going like, I'm gonna have friends for dinner, and then Littlefoot
Like, I'm going to
is-
make them berries
yeah,
and shit.
yeah. And then Littlefoot and his friends are like, we're gonna be friends for dinner. And it's like, it's very theatre-y, you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's cool. It's a cool song.
Yeah. All right. So that's all I have to say about 5. Number 6, The Land. And here I can't wait for this. The Land Before Time 6, The Secret of Saurus Rock, 1998, directed by Charles Grosvenor. Again,
Grosvenor. The Grove.
The Grove.
All right, Littlefoot is inspired after learning about the legend of the lone dinosaur, a long neck who protected the Great Valley from a sharp tooth, which is what they call T-Rexes, or any carnivorous dinosaur. None of the children seem to remember the story, despite the fact that they moved to the Great Valley within their lifetimes. And an old long neck named Doc then turns up in the Great Valley, and Littlefoot is convinced that he is the lone dinosaur the legends speak of. Unfortunately, with Doc's arrival comes a slew of natural disasters, and all the xenophobic adults blame this bad luck on Doc. There's also a whole plot about a big mountain which kids accidentally destroy, and that's really the reason for the bad luck, because it was like a lucky mountain. And
Saurus Rock.
Yeah, Saurus Rock, where the secret... I don't know what the secret is.
Well, secret is that it was good luck.
Right. And in the end, Littlefoot's grandfather saves them from a T-Rex, suggesting that there's a lone dinosaur within all of us.
Whew.
This is the best one. This is the top of the parabola.
All right. So, the lone dinosaur, is voiced by Chris Christopherson, who is Alice in Chains to Johnny Cash's Nirvana. Yeah. So this is the introduction.
What the heck did you just say? Alice in Chains to Johnny Cash's Nirvana.
If Johnny Cash is Nirvana,
oh, okay,
then Chris Christopherson is like, Alice in Chains.
Richard, Johnny Cash wasn't in Nirvana.
Oh, AJ. All right.
I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
This is the best song ever written in it.
All right. Well, I'm going to quickly interrupt you there before we talk about it more. New York Post guy.
Yeah.
Ranked this one number 11 out of 13.
Holy crap! I couldn't disagree more. New York Post.
The secret of Saurus Rock is that it's boring and uninspired.
Oh.
Does a folk tale about a lone dinosaur based on the Lone Ranger sound like a good idea to you?
Yes.
I love that he specifically shits on the best part of the film. And boy, does the song sound good at 1.5 speed.
So I'm going to sing a little bit of it for you. It goes, Dinosaur, he promised his protection, dinosaur, to the helpless and the poor, dinosaur. Wherever there is danger, we'll never be defenseless anymore. The lone dinosaur. And I was like, hell yeah, this is like, it's the only song in the whole series that feels like a Disney song. Like, right. It feels like we're watching a classic Disney, you know, and also it's important to the plot. And one of the worst things about the songs in these movies is you look at something like Aladdin and how Aladdin uses the music, the songs in the movie, right? All the songs are indicative of either character traits that are important or
character motivations. None of them are about what's happening next. None of them are like, this isolated event is happening, we're going to sing about it. And so many Land Before Time songs. What would be an example of in Aladdin? If some of the people who wrote Land Before Time wrote Aladdin, where would they put a song? They would put a song in it where he's like, touch nothing but the lamp, and he'd be like, touch nothing but the lamp, touch nothing but the lamp, and it's like, the movie's not about not touching the lamp, right? It's about having a friend like the genie. Yeah, exactly. It is though, and like it is, right? Like it's the genie's. I'm getting so excited about Aladdin now because it's such a good screenplay. But like the movie's about friendship in a lot of ways, right? And you ain't never had a friend like me, of course. Great, that's the genie, of course, and you never will. Whereas and that's the message you should take away from it. Kid. There's a song in Land Before Time. There's which one? I don't know. 9, Journey to Big Water, about imaginary friends. There's a whole thing about imaginary friends. Yeah. The movie's not about imaginary friends. They just start singing about imaginary friends. It's almost like a Family Guy cutaway gag. Yeah. It's like they're like, we've got this song about imaginary friends. Where do we chuck it? And that's why I like the Lone Dinosaur song, because that movie is about like this epic character and about learning where, you know, because he builds up, this is how cool the Lone Dinosaur is, and then the message of the movie is effectively we're all capable of that. Yeah. Not that I thought this movie was anywhere above like a 5 out of 10, but that's the thing that happens on film franchise Fortnights is you get So the next one was called The Land Before Time 7, The Stone of Cold Fire. Very cool title. Putting out there, that's a fucking cool title. It came out in 2000, and it was directed by Charles Grosvenor. Charles!
No one believes Littlefoot when he says he saw a large blue asteroid crash into the far-off mountains, except for some strange new rainbow-billed dinosaurs, which turned out to be aliens. Spoilers.
I don't want you to get to that so early. Because I can't just let you leave that out there.
Yeah,
there are aliens in the 7th one.
The alien dinosaurs.
Alien dinosaurs in the 7th. Who the hell thought that was a good idea?
Also, Petrie's uncle, who's evil, returns to the Great Valley to cause havoc after previously being banished when the dinosaurs first migrated there in the first film, therefore indicating that the writers are aware of the first film despite vehemently ignoring it for so many of these.
Well, it's now that Charles Grosvenor's taken over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there are aliens in this one. They're literally aliens. They keep popping up to randomly save the day, and then at the end they're like, "How did you know all this stuff?" And the Rainbow Faces go, "Look over there, Littlefoot." And Littlefoot turns around, and then a giant blue beam comes from the sky, and then they're gone.
Can I ask you something? How much do you remember about this one?
I forgot about the uncle, but yeah. No, yeah.
So, the Stone of Cold Fire, it's called that because they're trying to find the stone that apparently is blue and cold, but is on fire. And there's a big emphasis on getting to it before the uncle does. Yeah. What happens when... I don't remember. I don't remember what the Stone of Cold Fire does.
They think it's going to give them, the uncle thinks it's going to give them, heaps of power or something like that. Right. And then when they get there and it doesn't. And that's the thing.
Oh, okay. So, the Stone of Cold Fire is powerless.
Yeah, it's just because it's just an asteroid.
Right.
But, yeah, this, yeah.
Where did New York Post
New York Post put this one, number 10. Though not quite as annoying as Tiny Sauruses, the name Rainbow Faces comes pretty close.
Literally right.
Yeah. He's not as into it as you and I. Especially by the time
I think he is.
We're halfway through, team.
All right. I know we've only been recording for 41 minutes.
Oh my god, this is going to be so long. I've still got so much more left to say. All right, quick. Number 8, Land Before Time 8, The Big Freeze, 2001, Charles Grosvenor.
Again. Okay, Ducky is real mad at Spike because he's a fat shit who eats all the food.
Spike doesn't speak as well. Have you said that?
Spike doesn't speak except for in...
one of them he says Ducky.
In Journey Through the Mists, when Ducky's in trouble, he goes, Ducky! And everyone's like, Spike?
The rest of the time he goes,
He's the peanut butter baby. Okay, so Ducky is real mad at Spike because he's a fat shit who eats all the food. Her issues are put into perspective when the motherfucking Ice Age hits, during which Spike decides to leave the Great Valley with a new crew of fellow Stegosauruses. Stegosauropods. that wander in, but they all get lost and the gang goes to save Spike, themselves, and each other.
All right.
This is the Christmas special as well. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Came out in December. And it's
they all come out in December.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Most of them came out December 20th.
Oh, I saw that this was Ice Age themed, and I was like, wonder if this is their answer to a Christmas special.
Right, yeah.
That makes sense that they'd come out before Christmas because they'd be a cheap Christmas present.
The introduction of this, they put this one 8th.
Good. I like this one. I think this is probably the most well-rounded.
Yeah, it deserves to be number 8. The introduction of the Ice Age into the series is an interesting, hilarious choice, because even though the gang may be fine at the end of the movie, they're still totally gonna die. Right. I don't get this guy's angle, though.
No, yeah, it's like he took them real seriously with the first couple, and now he's like, Rainbow Faces is a stupid name.
Alright, no more to say about that one. That was the first post 9/11.
Yeah, it was, that's true. And it shows, frankly.
Yeah. The Land Before Time 9, Journey to Big Water, 2002, Charles Grosvenor.
After a massive rainstorm causes a small flood in one corner of the Great Valley, Littlefoot and his friends make acquaintances with a purple dolphin thing called Mo, who no one really likes because he's kind of an annoying, ignorant asshole. And they decide to help him get back to his ocean home. Mm-hmm. Immediate thoughts on this one? Did you draw the same parallel that I drew?
What?
Having just seen the movie It, at the start, it's this strange creature in an ocean, in the water.
During a flood.
Who's coaxes Littlefoot into the water. It's so much like Pennywise.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, if this movie was more famous, I'd like edit a YouTube poop together of them because it's so begging for it. Because it's like he sees this thing making noises.
Come on in here.
He's like, yeah, come on down here, Littlefoot. So like you like this balloon? But it's like, oh man, that was the
That's funny.
that was the immediate thing I thought of.
This will be my top half. This is at least like a 1.5 or 2 out of 10.
Okay.
But New York Post guy put it as number 6. This one provides a breath of fresh air by bringing in the element of water, allowing the world to open up to underwater species.
That was cool. He's right.
Yeah. So, number 10, The Great Long Neck Migration. Migration again. This came in 2003, directed by Charles Grosvenor.
Littlefoot discovers migration for the first time ever when he and every other longneck dream of the sun exploding, which prompts them to leave their homes and journey to a valley filled with other longnecks. It is there that he meets his long-lost father, and he learns of the legends that when the sun falls from the sky, it is the responsibility of the longnecks to push it back up. After a brief and relatively low-stakes battle of 3 T-Rexes versus like 2,000 longnecks, an eclipse happens, and the longnecks all take this as their cue to hold their heads up high and believe they push the sun back into the sky, even though nothing bad would have happened if they just left it because it was just an eclipse. Littlefoot then decides to return to the Great Valley with his friends instead of starting a new life with his father because he's afraid of change. Despite my criticisms, there's an argument that this is the best one.
Yeah.
The way I watched this with Adam, sometimes cult popcaster Adam, and we both really enjoyed it. Like we were both like, this is cool, and it's the only one that has that kind of Lion King-esque spirituality to it, like where it actually feels like there's laws and legends that certain dinosaurs believe, and it's got. You want to say this?
Yeah, I was going to say it here.
Yeah.
So this guy placed it at number 4 and said, our leading man, Littlefoot, finally gets a dad. And he's voiced by Kiefer Sutherland. Double win.
That's it.
Yeah.
What's a dumb movie Kiefer Sutherland's from?
The only movie I can think of. 2 movies I can think of. Flatliners and Phone Booth.
Phone Booth's Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Stars.
Stand By Me's Kiefer Sutherland.
The Land Before Time 10, The Great Long Neck Migrations, Kiefer Sutherland stars, and The Land Before Time 10.
Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, he's pretty good in it. He suits it. Kiefer Sutherland's got a great voice, as anyone who's seen Phone Booth will be able to tell you.
Yeah.
Phone Booth's a great movie, by the way. Unless we include Cellular.
Is that a sequel to Phone Booth?
It's like it's Zathura 2.
Really?
Phone Booth's
I
Jumanji.
had no idea. That's really interesting. Let's do it. Let's do it next week.
Yeah, let's do Jumanji, Zathura, Phone Booth, and Cellular, and we can talk about which one has the better link. Because in Phone Booth, he's trapped on a phone in one location, whereas on Cellular, he's trapped on a phone but is able to move.
Very cool.
Yeah, probably the only good, the most notably good voice acting performance in it in the series, just because it's Kiefer Sutherland, and he actually kind of seems to give a shit. Yeah, so yeah,
This is a good one. There's just too many characters in it, I think.
yeah.
There's like 6 dispensable long necks in it that like you just don't need. Disposable, not dispensable. Dispensable. Just press a button, they come out.
The Land Before Time 11, Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses. This one came out in 2005. They took a year off and was directed by Charles Grosvenor.
Charles, what went wrong? First of all, you should never have 11 in your repertoire of films. You know, it's not a particularly aesthetically pleasing number, and I think
XI.
Yeah.
These are all done with the Roman numerals.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, the community grows furious. This is so funny what I've written here, man. You're going to love it. The community grows furious after the annual feeding of tree sweets, which is what they call blossoms, is ruined after Littlefoot falls on the tree and all the blossoms are eaten by tiny little longnecks who live underground. Littlefoot blames the entire ordeal on the Tinysaurises, which is fair enough, as they committed probably the worst part of the ordeal since they still ate all the tree sweets themselves. Still, he becomes friends with them and soon finds himself having to defend them from the racist, xenophobic witch hunt, and must admit to everyone that he lied when he said that the Tinysaurises knocked all the blossoms off the trees and ate them, and in fact he was the one who knocked them off the tree, and all they did was actually eat them, which is pretty much the entire crime. And I wouldn't really say Littlefoot should feel guilty about this, about lying, because like the Tinysaurises ate them all. He could have like gotten the other hey, I screwed up, I knocked them all off the tree, but they're still good for the taken. Yeah. But it makes this big deal. There's a song about it. There's a song about how you need to learn to tell the truth. But he didn't do the worst part of it. They get angry at the Tinysaurises for a valid reason. If I was on the writing team for this movie, I'd be like, no. Like, they clearly did wrong. Like, the difference between what Littlefoot said happened and what actually happened is so minuscule that it's not... He shouldn't learn a lesson. Anyway.
The other thing about this film is that Littlefoot's having an identity crisis because he's so little. He's bigger than the Tinysaurises. Yeah. They worship him as some kind of deity.
And this is the second worst one, by far.
Yeah.
And they're all bad. Yeah. And it's still the second worst one by far.
So this guy put it at number 12 out of 13 at the time.
That's fair.
So the Land Before Time series was never big on factual accuracy. They don't even call the dinosaurs by their real names, i.e. a T-Rex is called a Sharptooth. But they crossed the line with the introduction of Tinysauruses, which is so dumb it's unbearable.
And talking about titles, as we do a lot, Invasion of the Tinisaurus is the most unland before timey title they've got. Invasion of anything is kind of like, feels like you're not taking it seriously anymore.
Yeah, whereas like, to come from the Stone of Cold Fire, that could be a Star Wars title.
Yeah.
Cool as.
Yeah. Probably a Star Wars comic, probably not.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever.
Not a movie.
I was
maybe an episode of Rebels.
yeah, true. Or like a Terminator sequel or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this one was real bad.
Ooh, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I want to tell you how bad the songs are in it, but
I was going to mention as well, but I can't remember what movies they're in. But there's like 8 songs about hating your dad.
There's also every movie's about like learning that other people are different and that's okay.
Yeah. Sarah always sings about how dad is so annoying. It's like, Sarah, you're annoying.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that at the hour mark of this podcast.
So the next one is called The Land Before Time 12, The Great Day of the Flyers. Came out in 2006, and I'll give you one guess as to who it was directed by.
Tom Bluth.
Charles Grosvenor.
Oh, Charles, what are you doing, man? It upsets me that he directed both the like Golden Age and then the bad ones. Okay, Petrie, who's the Pteranodon, is having trouble practicing for his flying exam, which apparently all flying dinosaurs are required to pass because otherwise they're not allowed to fly. His troubles are pushed to the back of everyone's mind when Guido shows up, who's a microraptor or a feathered flyer.
Yeah.
I don't know much to say.
This is my favourite one.
It's alright.
It's pretty good. So this one was, they ranked number 9. It's forgettable and small in scope with very low stakes, but the flying scenes are coolish. Plus, there's a dinosaur named Guido. That's a plus. Guido was cool. Guido was real cool. Yeah, Guido's my favourite, like, one-off character. Yeah, only because Chomp was in it twice.
I said this before, but Land of the Flies is the most, this feels like an episode of the show movie.
Yeah. Oh, Guido's got Petrie's got to pass his flying test.
Ooh, yeah. It's the most sitcom setup.
Yeah. It's, it's like I said, it's low stakes, but it is inherent, like, because of that, it's probably one of the more fun ones.
It's also one of the only ones that, actually both 11 and 12 take place in the Great Valley. They don't really leave the Great Valley.
Yeah, true. Oh boy, here we go. Number 13, The Land Before Time 13, The Wisdom of Friends. This came out in 2007 and was directed by Jamie Mitchell, with supervising director Charles Grosvenor.
I'm just going to read what I wrote here, and then you guys can decide where I placed it on my ranking. Littlefoot is inspired by a series of lessons imparted to him by his grandparents called the Wisdoms, which consist of things like don't walk across precarious platforms over cliffs and be nice to others. He decides to use this knowledge to help a herd of hopelessly stupid, feathered, fat fluoro dinosaurs migrate to Berry Valley, effectively bypassing the survival of the fittest method of natural selection, which the rest of the dinosaurs became so famous for in their life.
Okay, yeah, and these dinosaurs are voiced by Cuba Gooding Jr. and Sandra Oh.
Now, on the Wikipedia page, it was like Sandra Oh from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
I was like, Wikipedia? Like, that's very creative of Wikipedia to like be like, this actress from this thing. Instead of just be like, this actress. Oh my gosh, this one sucked my dick, dude. Like, this was the worst.
That just sound like it was like the best one. That's a good thing to happen to you, AJ.
Clearly, we've led very different lives.
Don't you hate when you like you?
Yeah, I
do. Oh my god, this film is like
this film was like an orgasm, dude.
It
like,
sucks.
This film was the worst.
I wouldn't wish this experience on anyone.
This film was like having a big chocolate sundae, and you're not hungry. You're not full, so you eat the whole thing and really enjoy it. That's how bad this was. No, this one was the worst one.
Yeah, this film was so I watched this last night and fell asleep for the last like 10-15 minutes and then realised, well, I woke up and realised, and so I went back and watched it and I couldn't get to sleep for so long. This film ruined my life, dude.
Dude, I watched the Tiny Sauruses at 4 a.m. when I had work
and
the
live
next
streamed
day.
it. Yeah, this one was ranked number 13
Yeah.
out of 13 at the time. Even if this movie weren't terrible, it'd probably still deserve to be last on the list based on the terrible name alone. That aside, the plot is about as lame as these things get, and not even a phoned-in voice role from Cuba Gooding Jr. can save it. Blame this one for putting the final nail in the coffin for the series. But it didn't.
Yeah.
They should have put one more nail in it. Because 9 years later...
9 years.
A Land Before Time, Journey of the Brave was released in 2016. Directed by, and this is this guy's name, Davis Doi. Doi Davis. Alright. What do you think of this one?
Littlefoot goes looking for his long-lost dad again after he hears he probably died in a volcano. Like, that's what it was about, right?
Yeah.
It's... Okay, this one... It's definitely not the worst one, and like, but it's got good characterization. They actually all have pretty good characterization, just with the worst characters.
Sure.
And it was a tangible journey that made sense, but it didn't feel refreshed. Because, okay,
why take a break for 9 years?
You stop making these in 2007, right?
Yeah.
Then you do a TV series. Yeah. The TV series went for a year.
One season, 26 episodes.
There you go. So that's still 8 years between the last time you visited these characters and the first time coming back. And it doesn't feel like a reboot in the same way that, like, Beethoven's Big Break felt like a reboot. It doesn't feel like a reboot in the same way that, like... I don't know, what's another
Jurassic World.
Yeah, exactly, thank you. Like, that oh shit, I just knocked my pop filter into the microphone. It didn't feel like
we have pop filters.
It didn't feel like a reboot in that same way, and it just felt like another one. The animation was slightly cleaner, but other than that, it's like, how has this still got the same voice? How has it got and like literally the voice actors sound exactly the same. Especially Petrie. Petrie is definitely the same voice actor.
Well, yeah, because Petrie's played by an adult. The rest are kids.
Okay. Yeah, and it's like, why was this? Why did you decide to come back after all this time? Because assumingly they're not over, right? Assumingly if you're going to start again after 9 years in 2016, we'll get one next year, right?
We'll get one probably this Christmas. Keep an eye on your
That's the thing, and that's the thing, dear listeners. If you'll find it when we review a lot of these like C grade franchises, that like
C is being kind.
There is no information. There's no information on why Land Before Time made sequels.
You can talk for hours about the development of Jurassic World.
Yeah, you could.
But yeah, like You can't talk for hours about the Stone of Cold Fire and why
No
that was
one,
made.
because no one, there's no press
documents
release. Yeah, there's no one being like, and Land Before Time is getting a 7th film. It's like, it just happens and no one talks
Yeah,
about
the
it.
only info on the production of any of the sequels, really. I mean, okay. You can try and look harder and
If you
you'll find
like,
something.
please tell us, because we need to know how to find this
But
stuff.
we, on the Wikipedia page for the second one, it says, in June 1993, it was announced that a straight-to-video sequel to Land Before Time was being produced. No release date was given at the time.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. That's all the films. Now that you know them, we can move on.
We're at an hour.
And now let's get to the real talk. Okay. So to condense everything we have to say here, I've introduced a new segment called 14 Reasons Why The Land Before Time is the worst franchise we've ever done. And it is.
Yep.
Like, I've...
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, it actually is. I've thought about it. I've looked back through every single one. I hate this more than anything, dude. Honestly. Name a franchise that
I
sucks.
don't have them up in front of me, but I get your point. I'm just going to say one, even if... You're not going to admit you're wrong right now, are you? So,
No, I'm not.
even if I brought up, like, oh, what about this one? You wouldn't be like...
What about that time you got AIDS? But no,
Okay,
this
that
is
wasn't
worth-
a franchise. That was an ordeal.
Yeah, like, these are so... For being an hour and 10 minutes each, they're so soul-crushing to watch. And they're just like... They're not films. Anyway, number one. Reason number one. And we've touched on this earlier. Sarah is the worst character ever discussed on this podcast.
Interesting.
What do you have to say about that?
Okay, I think... So Sarah's the Triceratops, or the three-horn. Here's the thing about Sarah, is that not only is she annoying and, like... a certain word that I don't want to start saying on this podcast too frequently.
Because I'll just say it.
And
It begins with C, by the way.
Sarah, because Sarah is spelled C-E-R.
Yeah, it's got the same amount of letters as Sarah.
Not only is she annoying and bratty and, you know,
Egotistical,
doesn't know what's
brash,
good for her and,
bossy.
like, totally unlikable in every way, but she's also, like, soul-crushingly real. Like, I went to primary school with a Sarah.
Yeah.
She
That
had a
fat
bad...
bitch who fucking stomps around the playground.
Steals your lunches.
And then one day we'll be like, no one likes me, it's because I'm fat, or because... Or, like, you guys aren't including me, and that makes me sad. It's like, we're not including you because you're a bitch.
And she's also got, like, a bad home life and, like, shoddy relationships with her parents and, like...
I don't want to give too much sympathy to Sarah.
It's very much like a victim of society.
Let's
and
give sympathy
she
to...
was bullied and therefore she becomes a bully.
Yeah, right. Let's give sympathy to the real people out there that we know
Yeah.
that were like that. Yeah, they have shitty... Sarah is just a really
It's
badly
a
written
fictional character.
and she's a fucking bitch. Yeah, oh my god, like, I could... Like, every time watching these films, they're like... You think maybe Sarah's finally learned a lesson because she seems to at the end of every film. And then the next one comes along. It's like, oh, let's play the lone dinosaur. And she's like, how do you do that? And it's like, obviously, you just pretend to be him. And then, like, you just play around like every other game you play. And, like, there's one film where, like, they're going on a mission at night. And there's, like, 4 of them. And then Ducky's like, oh, I better go get Sarah because she won't want to feel left out. And you know, like a genuine caring thing. So she goes and gets Sarah, and then Sarah's like, why did you wake me up for this? We're just going around at night, blah, 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 blah. And then Ducky's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you'd want to be included.
I mean, it's sad because there are little girls out there who watch these films and Sarah's their favourite, dude.
Okay.
Like, Sarah's their favourite.
Oh my god.
She's brash, she's confident, she's strong-willed.
I'm actually almost in tears. Words cannot, without you guys going out and watching all 14 films, I cannot express how bad of a character Sarah is. She has no redeeming qualities at all. She's not a good friend.
Yeah.
She's, like, incredibly rude. She's rude to her parents. She's, like, selfish. She's jealous. She like, if you took every single negative trait you could possibly think of and put them into one person, it makes this fucking Triceratops. So that's number one. Number two, 14 films is too many.
Yep.
It is.
I don't know if we need to say more about that.
Just do one. All right.
Do a couple more if you want.
3. Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't qualify for the podcast. 3. The first one, the benchmark on which these films are to be marked, is terrible.
It's just not interesting. It's not bad. It's not badly made.
Yeah, well,
it's not a shill. The other ones are shills.
Yeah, I mean, you think of other films that came out around the time. Even like, come on, Spielberg and Lucas together, like, they've made Indiana Jones 4, and it's better than The Land Before Time. Yeah, like, this normally, like, I was going into this being like, dope. The first one is going to be like this beautiful work of art. I've heard so many things about it, and like it defines so many people's childhoods. And then the sequels are just going to be a bit dumb fun. Boy, was I wrong.
I don't know why you expected that, man. It's a series about an old grandpa penis and his bitchy Triceratops friend. I don't think.
Number 4, the emotional moments, i.e., meaning all examples are this. Littlefoot's mum dying have no emotional impact because. Oh, I forgot to put a close bracket in there.
You didn't need to say that. No one would have known.
Have no emotional impact because the movie surrounding it is terrible and gives you no investment in the characters. Close bracket. That's how I wrote it. Yeah, like I don't give a shit that Littlefoot's mum died.
Well, you would naturally compare it to Mufasa, right?
Yeah.
Because they're actually pretty similar movies.
Yeah. Except Littlefoot's mum is a woman.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's not what's wrong.
She's a dinosaur.
That's not why.
No, I'm just saying
the
that's
Land
why
Time
they're
is
different.
worse. Sure. Why?
AJ's eyes just like damage control.
Why it's worse than Mufasa? Why it doesn't hold a candle to Mufasa's death, even though it's treated very much the same, is because you get a real sense of who Mufasa is for quite probably like 30 minutes of The Lion King before he's killed off.
Yeah.
And
Littlefoot's mum dies about 20, 30 minutes into the.
that's not that long. Way. It's not that long. The movie's only half an hour long.
You mean like it's an hour long? Just for anyone listening that didn't get what he meant, it's an hour long.
Yeah,
no, it's not half an hour long.
Right. Yeah.
We watched a full movie.
Littlefoot's mum dies 10 minutes in.
Right. Okay.
I'm calling. That's what I reckon.
Okay.
Do you want me to pull it up?
No.
I'll go get the DVD that I bought from the warehouse for $4.50
with a handle at the top.
Yeah. So little kids can walk around with it like a little handbag. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry. It's not that funny.
Yeah, but it's like, I didn't care. I'd heard people on Reddit mostly talking about like, Mufasa's death was nothing. Littlefoot's mum dying, takes the cake for me.
Can't fathom why someone would think that. It's not even like Littlefoot's performance isn't even as heartbreaking as
Jonathan Taylor Thomas's.
Dad, get up.
Yeah, it's just, Mum, you're dead. I guess I'll go on this adventure. And then not talk about you for 30
And that
minutes.
also defines Simba, whereas Littlefoot's mum dying.
It's just like, okay, now you live with your grandpa,
Yeah.
whose penis you look like.
He probably does. I would imagine the size of a dinosaur penis probably look like a baby dinosaur.
5. The music, bar the lone dinosaur, aren't even songs. They're just a collection of syllables in the strangest order over something vaguely resembling a tune. We've kind of already talked about this.
Yeah.
So I don't need to dwell on that. Number 6. 13 of these 14 films were released straight to video. Mm-hmm. What does that tell you about the quality?
Yeah. Tells you everything about the quality.
Exactly. 7. The animation, for the most part, is terrible.
Disagree.
Okay.
I don't mind the animation. I think it's better than... It's still got that quaint cinematic feel to it. They still look like the drawings are well done. Like, it's not... Maybe the animation itself isn't... I don't know. I never noted it.
There's in the 4th one... There's the 14th one, sorry. There's a weird... Like...
My mind just had to scan through the Rolodex of these films to know what you're
there's like
talking about.
a weird 3D animated CGI tree trunk in a 2D animated world.
No, there's 3D animation all the way through it.
No, this is different.
The water's 3D animated. There are other 3D animated logs in the other movies.
Oh, whatever. I didn't notice it. Anyway, whatever. This is dumb.
Right, so that's 13 reasons why the Lamb of
Paleontologically speaking, it's a fucking mess.
Oh, of course, but so is Jurassic Park.
9. It can't even follow its own rules.
Okay.
Sometimes they know what words mean, sometimes they don't.
So here's a list of words they don't know. Leaf.
Rain.
Cloud.
Earthquake.
Dream. They call them...
Sleep stories.
They call dreams sleep stories. They call cloud sky puffies. They call leaves
Rain,
tree
sky
stars, sky water. But they know what flower means. They say flower in one of them. One of the lyrics for The Lone Dinosaur is, "He'll be there to stop the carnivore." They know what carnivore means, and they don't know what they call them. Sharp tooths, but they know and also that none of the dinosaurs are called by their their names right.
I kind of like that though.
I do too, but then Sarah is a Triceratops. Her dad's called Tops. Her stepmom's called Tria.
And then her half sister's called Trisha.
Like
Tric.
And Petrie is a
Pterodon.
Pterodon that starts with a P, so you can get Petrie out of that. Spike. Actually, no, that doesn't work because it's Stegosaurus. But
Spikosaurus. Because you're thinking Spiketail.
The Spiketail. That one makes sense. Ducky's a duck-billed dinosaur.
So it looks like a duck. How do they know what a duck is? But there's also there's a sharp tooth standing over Sarah in one of them, and she draws on it. And she goes, "Hey, who is it raining?" Or blames one of them for making it rain because she's a fucking bitch. And it's the only time in the series they know what rain is.
And there's also the villains in the second movie, the two raptors, who one of them was voiced by Pinky from Pinky and the Brain.
Rob Paulson voices everyone in these films, dude.
Does he?
Yeah.
Petrie. Okay. He specifically, I might be remembering this wrong. I think he sings their Latin dinosaur name, and it's the only time it's said in it.
The number 10, the sequels don't even try to have any emotional weight. I guess you could say they don't need to because they're just dumb kids movies.
I would say they try to have emotional weight.
Well, they failed.
What about the big freeze when Spike leaves them and it's sad and they have to go find him and
whatever.
12 reasons.
11. There's fucking aliens in the 7th one. We've mentioned that. 12. We haven't mentioned this yet, but why the fuck would you put eyelashes on a male animated character? Littlefoot has these beautiful eyelashes.
It's so true.
My entire life, I thought Littlefoot was a girl.
I think that might be why I never watched these movies, because I was so
oh, it's a girl's movie.
Yeah, but kind of shaken by the creepy innocence of how Littlefoot looks.
Is it a little girl or is it a grandpa's hearing its penis? Number 13, and we disagree on this one, but because Ducky's voice actor was murdered, I feel bad pointing out how annoying her character is.
Right. You say we disagree on this.
Yeah, because you were saying, I got no beef with Ducky. You said that during
I've got no beef with Ducky.
I don't like Ducky. I find her so annoying. Yep, shut up.
Yep. Yes, we do. Oh, no, we don't. No.
Yeah, that annoys the shit out of me, dude.
Here's the best thing about this series. The best objective thing about this series, I said it before, these are all very well written characters.
Okay, I'm going to stop. Let
me rephrase.
I'm just going to come back to this.
Well defined characters, not well written.
All right. Pin.
And I think
pin being put in there, okay? And I'll just quickly, number 14, honestly, Sarah's the fucking worst.
So 11 reasons why.
So that is 14 reasons why Land Before Time is the worst franchise we've ever done. And it is. Mark my words.
Land Before Time's the best franchise we've ever done, dude.
Well, you're right. Here's 14 reasons why the Land Before Time is the best franchise we've ever done.
I love Ducky. Yep.
Okay, number 1. They're only 70 to 80 minutes.
Oh, there are actually 14 reasons, but you were kidding.
Yeah, I mean, they're short.
All right.
And when you watch at 1.5 speed, they're only 45 minutes. Number 2, Chomper is awesome. Okay, so that's interesting.
I wasn't that big on Chomper.
Chomper's awesome, dude. He's just such a nice dude, and he's stopping getting eaten.
He's a swell guy.
Number 3, the characters all have really clearly defined voices.
Yeah, and defined personalities as well.
So, you could take one line of dialogue from any of them, and you'd be able to immediately pinpoint. They all speak in different kind of voices. Petrie talks in the third person. Ducky doesn't use any kind of contractions. And Sarah is obviously just being a fucking bitch all the time. And then if it doesn't fit into one of those, it's Littlefoot.
Or Spike, who doesn't speak.
Yeah. If it's one word.
Yeah. If it's the word is Ducky, then it's Spike, and only from one of the movies.
Yeah. Number 4, the song The Lone Dinosaur.
Yeah.
And then for the other 10 reasons, I just wrote...
So the characters are really well defined, and I'm probably going to get that. How far away are we from continuing this franchise?
So close to it.
Shall I do mine?
Yeah, well, did you want to... You said... What were you setting up just then?
This is what I'm setting up.
Okay.
We're doing continue the franchise?
Yep, we can do.
Okay, so continue the franchise. This is where we pitch a sequel, because why the hell not?
Or, no, okay, doesn't have to be a sequel. A continuation, like, what do you want to see next in the Land Before... Or what could you see next in the Land Before Time mythos in any form?
Yeah.
It could be a video game, could be a motion poster.
Yep. I initially was going to just be like, I just want to see them get older. Like, they've been kids for 30 years now. Like, let's see them grown up a bit. I changed my mind while watching the last one. Mm-hmm. I was like, and maybe this has happened, and you might have done enough research to answer this. I feel like these characters lend themselves real well to, like, a video game.
There's 14 video
No,
games.
I know there are, but I don't know if they would have done it this way.
All right, how would you do your video game?
Well, so the what was the last one called? The Journey of the Brave.
Of the Brave.
Ugh. That one, like, I noticed it in that one, that, like, you imagine if it's like the Lego games where you can switch between characters,
right?
Because each one of them has a skill. Yeah. Like, Sarah can headbutt things
and
over
be a total bitch.
And
Littlefoot can't do anything.
Littlefoot can't do anything, but he's the
He's the Mario.
Yeah, he's the Mario. Ducky can swim.
Petrie can fly.
Spike
can be a fat idiot.
No, Spike would be your weapon, because Spike can, like, bowl people over.
Yeah, but then why can't Sarah do that?
Because that's not her assigned skill in this game, I guess. But
I was gonna say Littlefoot is tall.
Is he though? I mean, Petrie can fly. That's the thing. I as I was saying this, I realised I would probably just play as Petrie all the time, because...
Well, levels would be designed in certain ways, so that they would have things you can only do as certain characters.
Yeah, this must exist, but I've never seen it.
There used to be a Flash game on the Cartoon Network, I think.
It's Universal. Would that be on Cartoon Network?
I think it was replaced by something on Cartoon Network, but it was like this game that was online, and it was like a Flash game, and it had one level as each of the characters, kind of thing.
Makes sense, and I think, like, it could work in a way if it's like there's a cliff you have to get everyone across, and so Petrie,
and if you don't do Sarah first, she'll just fucking complain at you the whole time.
If Petrie can just fly across, that's you getting Petrie across. Sarah, you have to knock over a tree and have her walk across. You know,
and Littlefoot has to learn some bullshit lesson.
Yeah.
There's like a racing game. I think most 10 out of the 14 games are educational games.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
For PC. So.
I also, by the way, I watched one of the episodes of the show.
Oh yeah.
I watched The Return of the Lone Dinosaur.
Of course.
The episode was called.
Did it use the song?
It did. Oh. Not as good. They adapted it slightly. It was pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting how much. From what I can guess from the TV show, it like relies heavily on the movies and like what you remember from a movie that came out like 7 years ago.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you said to me earlier today that your continue the franchise was 4 seconds long. Was that just going to be that they get older? Yeah. Right. Hey, here's my continue the franchise. This might be my favourite continue the franchise I've ever done. It's not a film. It's an official press release from Universal Studios stating they'll never make another Land Before Time film.
Wow. That's the opposite of a continue the franchise.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's one piece of media being released, and that's it. This is like, yeah. This is regret the concept of the podcast bad.
So the last 3 episodes we've done before this were all 2 film franchises, and you were complaining, like you were being all.
I was being a little Sarah about it.
You were talking to me on Facebook, and you'd be like, "Why are they even on there? Why do we have 2 film franchises?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. I think there's merit to some of them, and like I want to talk about some of them.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them, but some of them." And then
to be fair, you went so far saying the Shawshank Redemption should be on there.
No, I didn't. I said the Shawshank Redemption could be defined as a franchise in the sense that it's got other media associated with it. It's got a book. That's a franchise. That's the Shawshank Redemption franchise, right? I was talking about. It's not a film franchise that I concede, but it's still, when we're talking about the word franchise, anything counts as a franchise, basically, if it's got external media around it. Anyway, doesn't help my point or boost my point. My point was, though, is that you were at the level of like, we're deleting all 2 film franchises from the list, and I was like, no, don't.
Okay, that came, to be fair, yeah, it partly came from external. Like, I've had a lot of people be like, what, that doesn't count.
But I don't
because people are like, fuck, that's a cool idea for a podcast. Oh,
what are you doing?
You're doing
Nymphomaniac parts 1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna listen because
I get it, and it was bad branding to have 3 2-film franchises in a row.
Well, 2 single film franchises in a row.
But then we get one that's 14, and now you're like, right, I'm giving up the podcast.
Okay, no, to be fair, like Godzilla, Freddy vs. Jason, 2 of my favorite franchises we've done, and they were huge. Mm-hmm. These are just real bad.
This is the worst mega franchise we've done.
No, this is the worst franchise we've done.
I want to say The Mummy's still worse than The Land Before Time. No, okay.
The Mummy had has an excuse.
Okay, look, you're right in the sense that this is the worst time I've had watching movies for the series. Actually,
I didn't
Godzilla got pretty bad, dude, in the first one, the first era.
Godzilla would get so bad it would be funny.
Yeah. I get it. This is the worst time I've had watching them. I don't know if they're objectively the worst films. Maybe they are. I'm just playing devil advocate.
Also, the backstory. I watched these films at work because I was on late shifts when there's not a lot to do, and when there's only like half a dozen people around, and having to explain that no, I'm not watching The Land Before Time, I'm watching The Land Before Time 6, like over and over again. It's so annoying. And now I'm just that guy at work. I tell people about the podcast and they're like, oh, that sounds real cool. I'm not going to listen to it. I haven't gained any new followers from my ventures. But yeah, oh my God, these are embarrassing movies to be watching. I'd make I'd minimize the thing and put it to one side so it was off in a corner. You know when you do things and you think, oh, no one's going to notice this, but everyone can. If you saw someone else doing that, be like, they're trying to fucking hide that they're watching The Land Before Time 7.
Okay, how are we going? What else do we need to talk about? We're at quite a... We're cutting out some of this, so...
No, we're not. How long have we been going for?
Well, it says an hour 27, but it'll be slightly less from that if you're playing.
So we've been talking longer than any of the Land Before Time films.
Yeah, but there's 14 of them. We've been talking nowhere near as long as all 14.
Okay, AJ, we'll keep talking. Jesus. All right. Let's move on to a segment called Franchise Roulette. This is a segment where we randomly... I have a little fancy little random number generator, which says a franchise... says a...
Oh, what if it's gonna be... God, I hate this. What if it's real long? No, because we're damned if we do and damned if we don't now, because if it's real long, we don't have time. We've got 10 days to watch the next one. And if it's a short one, you're going to be like, well, it's not even a franchise, I don't want to do it. What's your ideal here? What do you want to get? I want to get Men in Black.
I want to get, 3 to 7.
7? I don't even want 7.
No, I'm saying that's
what?
ideal for the podcast.
Do you know what?
That's for me. That's ideal for the podcast and amount to talk about versus not having too much to talk about today.
Do you know what though? I'll watch whatever this gives me.
Yeah, me too. And we'll be watching.
My heart. My heart is...
Okay, you have no idea.
My heart is thumping right now.
You have no idea how much I've been looking forward to doing franchise roulette. To not be the Land Before Time guy at work anymore.
My heart is thumping, dude.
103.
103 is... It's, okay, right off the bat, it's a 2-film franchise, but...
I don't want to do it.
We should get David Corios, friend of the podcast, on for The Raid 1 and 2.
Oh, nice.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Well, I know you've just fucking ruined having Dave as a guest.
Why?
What if he doesn't want to do it, or what if he,
I'll message him. What's he doing? Should we call him? Do you want to call him?
No.
Nah, do it. It'll be funny. You have to yes and it. I've already brought it up.
Let's see if he's active. Okay, he's active. Okay, let's call him.
I'm pretty sure Dave specifically said he wanted to do this with us once. Is it on speaker?
Yeah. Yo.
Hey.
Hey, man.
You're on Film Franchise
You're live
Fortnight.
on Film Franchise Fortnights.
Okay.
We're just rolling our next franchise, and it's The Raid. And we were extending a personal invitation. He's peeing, so I'm going to pull the microphone away from Mike.
Do you want to watch The Raid?
Do you want to watch
with
The Raid 1 and 2 with us?
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to watch Raid with you guys.
And
Hell yeah.
and do a podcast about it?
Yeah.
Oh, nah. All right, thanks, Dave. We'll see you in a second when we come upstairs.
No, what was that? I know.
No, we were kidding.
No, we were like, imagine if you were like, oh yeah, I'm real keen to watch The Raid with you guys. Oh, and do a podcast? Oh, nah, not keen.
Oh, no, I want to do a podcast with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I made it a lot better.
All right, thanks, Dave. We'll talk to you in a second.
I'll talk to you in a bit.
All right.
Hey, enjoy the rest of the podcast, guys. How did it go? Sum up Land Before Time.
Sum it up. Richard, do you want to do
they're
yours?
terrible. They're fucking terrible
13
films.
movies in 2 sentences. Go.
Oh, it's 14 films. That's one sentence.
14, sorry. I didn't watch them, sorry.
14. Okay, here's my 2 sentences. There's 14 films. They're all terrible.
Okay. Good job, guys. Hey, congratulations on the podcast.
Thanks, mate.
All right, thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Tune in next time for
Oh boy,
The Raid.
I hope people have enjoyed this.
The Raid and The Raid 2, Berendale with David Karius. Researched by Alexander Jones.
Yeah. Oh,
Fuck, I don't have to do anything.
Oh, and I only have to do 2 films.
Yeah, you always get the easy. I've had.
You've had all the mega ones.
Yeah, I have, eh?
Yeah,
I
you
had
have.
previous
But you
Jason
like
Godzilla.
it. You're
Yeah.
better at it than I am.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I volunteered for Godzilla. I said I'll do Godzilla and I'll do all of them.
Yeah. Anyway, you can, if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed our sweet bants, like us on Facebook under
And
Cult
subscribe to
Culture,
our Patreon.
and which we don't have, but you can start one for us if you like.
Yeah. Start us a GoFundMe.
I didn't read out any mail on this episode. I don't know if we got any recently. But that's all good. It's already been too long anyway.
Yeah.
But that being
And
said,
I'm not doing our new segment where we write fan mail to the franchise because I would wrap up some feces and be like, "Dear Sarah,
this is for you." But that being said, please send us some questions. If you've got any, we'll answer them on the next one. Send any questions for young Dave, if you've got any questions for him. And you can also subscribe to us on YouTube, where you might be listening to this, or on iTunes, or on SoundCloud. And you know what? May
the Force be with you."